Steve Bullock is in. The two-term governor announcing early this morning that he will run for the U.S. Senate. The 5 o'clock deadline to file for political office in Montana just passed moments ago. Earlier today, Bullock, amid a crowd of supporters, walked down to the Secretary of State's office and paid the filing fee. He becomes the highest profile Democrat to enter the race and likely the candidate to take on incumbent Republican Steve Daines. MTN's expert team of chief political reporters Mike Dennison and Jay Cohn have been at the Capitol all day. That's where we find them right now. Mike, Jay, what does this mean for the Senate race?
Well, Jessica, most people have probably heard by now that Montana Governor Steve Bullock has decided to jump into the U.S. Senate race. A decision today that has the potential not only to alter the political scene in Montana, but perhaps change the majority of who controls the majority in the U.S. Senate. Chief political reporter Mike Dennison here. Mike, the political stakes got raised very high today.
Just a few notches today. Yeah, we had, of course, we had Steve Bullock getting into the race against Steve Daines. You mentioned the U.S. Senate. Certainly this brings this race into play, one of 5 across the nation where Democrats think they might be able to pick up a seat and perhaps grab control of the U.S. Senate. But more importantly, it changes things up and down the ticket for Democrats in Montana, bringing in millions of dollars into the state. It's going to help with the ground game, help with everybody else's campaign. It's a real game changer.
Called the Bullock bump, perhaps, or maybe the Biden bump, one of those things. Let's talk specifically about the race. There are other candidates in the race, but it's going to come down to Steve versus Steve. Most of the Montanans know both of these gentlemen as nice guys.
That's right. And today we had Governor Bullock saying, I'm the guy who's worked for both sides of the aisle. Washington, D.C. can't do that. I can come in and maybe change this dynamic. But at the same time, we also talked to Senator Bullock, and Senator Daines. He's saying, look, we're deciding who's going to control the U.S. Senate, the U.S. Supreme Court. Where do you come down? You know where I come down. You know where he comes down.
Tons of money now going to flow into the state. And as you said, it's going to flow up and down the ticket. We can compare this to Senator Tester and Matt Rosendale's Senate race just a few years ago.
Yeah, that was a $70 million race. This one I think is going to be easily $50 million in that range, certainly.
And we've also had some repercussions from the governor's announcement today. It was a crowded race. It's not quite as crowded now.
That's right. We had 2 Democrats, Wilmot Collins and Cora Newman, saying they're out, but we still have 6 or 7 candidates in the race, but we know who it's between. It's between, you said, Steve and Steve.
So very busy. Last day of the filing season in Montana, one that they'll be talking about for some time. Jessica, back to you.
All right, thank you both very much. First on MTN this evening, incumbent Senator Steve Daines speaks about Governor Bullock entering the Senate race. Speaking from Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., Daines spoke on his race against Bullock and other topics, including fear of the spread of the coronavirus and the collapsing stock market. When talking about the big issues, Daines said there will be clear contrast between himself and the governor on issues that range from gun rights to immigration and the Supreme Court.
There's some major issues going forward here. The future of our courts will be a big issue because the United States Senate uniquely has the up or down vote on Supreme Court justice. I voted for Justice Gorsuch, for Justice Kavanaugh.
And coming up tonight at 6, Carroll College political professor Jeremy Johnson tells us Bullock's campaign could shake up more than just the Senate race.